The massive research vessel drifted silently through the star-speckled darkness, its sensors probing the unknown regions of space. Jaewon Park stood at the observation deck, his fingers gently stroking the massive creature beside him, a genetically modified predator that looked like a nightmare born from the darkest corners of biological engineering. Thunder, as Jaewon called him, was no ordinary animal. Standing nearly as tall as a human at the shoulder, the creature's muscular body rippled with controlled power, dark fur-covered skin that seemed more like armored plating, and eyes that shifted between deep amber and steel blue watched the universe with an intelligent intensity that made most alien species uncomfortable. The Galactic Confederation's scout ship had been tracking the human vessel for hours, completely bewildered by its unusual cargo and crew. Their initial scans had detected what they believed to be an impossibly dangerous predator, something that should have been contained in the most secure research facilities. Instead, this human treated the creature like a common pet. Jaewon noticed the alien communication signals pinging against their ship's systems. He could almost imagine the panic and confusion brewing among the alien researchers. Humans were still a relatively new species in the galactic community, and their approach to life forms was dramatically different from other civilizations. "Easy, boy," he whispered to Thunder, who tilted his head slightly, ears rotating to catch every subtle sound. The creature was more than just a trained animal. He was a companion, a partner that understood human communication with uncanny precision. The ship's communication system crackled to life. A trembling alien voice translated through multiple linguistic protocols requested an explanation about the containment breach they were witnessing. Jaewon couldn't help but chuckle. Thunder shifted, his massive paws making soft thuds against the metallic floor. To the alien observers, this would look like a potential attack posture. To Jaewon, it was simply his companion stretching after a long period of stillness. "Standard communication protocols engaged," the ship's AI announced in its neutral tone. "Preparing xenobiological interaction sequence." The next few moments would define humanity's latest interaction with the broader galactic community. Jaewon knew that humans had a reputation for being unpredictable, but what most alien species failed to understand was their unique ability to form bonds with creatures that other civilizations would immediately destroy. Thunder's genetic makeup was a marvel of human biotechnology. Designed to survive in the most extreme environments, he represented humanity's capability to not just survive, but to adapt and integrate. His body contained genetic markers from multiple predatory species, carefully engineered to create a being of extraordinary capability. The alien scout ship began to match their trajectory, its scanning beams probing every centimeter of the human vessel. Jaewon could see the hesitation, the fear in their approach. Most galactic species would have already launched defensive protocols, preparing to neutralize what they perceived as a significant threat. But humans were different. Where others saw danger, Jaewon saw potential. Where alien civilizations saw a monster, he saw a companion. Thunder let out a low rumble, not a growl of aggression, but a communication signal that Jaewon had learned to interpret over years of partnership. It was a sound of curiosity, of careful observation. The ship's holographic display flickered to life, showing the alien vessel's crew, multiple species, each looking more anxious than the last. Their body languages spoke volumes: confusion, fear, and an overwhelming sense of incomprehension. Jaewon placed his hand on Thunder's shoulder, a gesture of calm and control. To the alien observers, this would look like an impossibly risky move. To him, it was a simple communication of trust between species. "First contact protocol initiated," the ship's AI announced. "Recommended communication. Demonstrate non-aggressive intent." As the two vessels drifted closer in the vast emptiness of space, Jaewon knew that this moment would become another chapter in humanity's strange and unexpected journey through the galactic community. A journey where the line between predator and companion was beautifully, impossibly blurred. Thunder watched the approaching alien vessel, his hybrid eyes reflecting both the darkness of space and the complex intelligence of his human-engineered design. The grand conference hall buzzed with nervous energy, as Hyejin Kim stepped onto the holographic platform. Hundreds of alien delegates from across the galaxy watched her, their multiple eyes blinking with a mixture of curiosity and fear. Behind her, a massive screen displayed images that would forever change how the galaxy viewed humanity. The first projection showed a human researcher casually walking a creature that looked like a cross between a rhinoceros and a prehistoric bear. Its teeth could crush metal, yet it followed the human like an obedient puppy. "Ladies and gentlemen of the Galactic Confederation," Hyejin began, her voice calm and clear, "I'm here to discuss Earth's approach to dangerous wildlife." The next image made several delegates physically recoil. A small human child was sitting on a massive predator, braiding its fur while the creature remained perfectly still. What most saw as a potential death trap, humans considered a normal afternoon activity. A Krellan diplomat, his blue skin turning several shades paler, whispered to his colleague, "Are they insane?" Hyejin continued her presentation, showing increasingly unbelievable interactions. A human scientist cuddling a creature with venomous spines, a marine researcher playing fetch with an aquatic predator that could crush submarines, a mountain expedition team using what looked like a living tank as a pack animal. The holographic displays shifted rapidly. Each image told a story of human audacity, their ability to not just survive alongside dangerous creatures, but to form complex relationships with them. "Our approach," Hyejin explained, "is not about domination, but communication and mutual understanding." An elderly Zorn delegate, known for his diplomatic experience, leaned forward. His translator clicked and whirred as it processed her words. Humans were becoming less of a mysterious new species and more of a potential galactic enigma. The most shocking segment came next. Videos showed humans treating creatures that other civilizations would immediately exterminate as beloved companions. A serpent-like predator was being fed treats. A walking tank of muscle and teeth was getting its belly rubbed. "What you're seeing," Hyejin said, "is how humans interact with what you might consider uncontrollable threats." One particularly shocking clip showed a human veterinarian performing medical treatment on a creature that looked like it could destroy an entire city block. The predator remained calm, almost gentle, while complex medical procedures were performed. The Galactic Confederation's senior researchers exchanged worried glances. This wasn't just about animal handling. This was a fundamental difference in how species could interact with their environment. A junior diplomat from the Pleiadian cluster raised a trembling hand. How do you prevent these creatures from attacking?" Hyejin smiled. It was a smile that spoke of centuries of human adaptation, of a species that had learned to turn potential threats into partners. "We don't prevent," she explained. "We communicate. We understand. We respect." The presentation continued, each image more unbelievable than the last. Humans riding creatures that other civilizations would consider walking apocalypses. Researchers living alongside predators that could destroy entire ecosystems. Children playing with beings that looked like living nightmares. The conference hall grew quieter. The initial nervous laughter had disappeared, replaced by a profound sense of understanding. Humans weren't just surviving their dangerous planet. They were thriving by turning potential destruction into potential partnership. As Hyejin's presentation concluded, the alien delegates sat in stunned silence. They had expected to see a report on dangerous wildlife management. Instead, they had witnessed a fundamental reimagining of how intelligent species could interact with their environment. The Galactic Confederation would never look at humans the same way again. Thunder, Jaewon's companion from the first encounter, seemed to watch the proceedings from a distant screen, a living testament to humanity's extraordinary ability to transform the universe's most feared creatures into something entirely unexpected. Sung-Ho Lee stood in the research center, surrounded by holographic displays showing complex psychological data. The walls were covered with charts, graphs, and images that told a story far more complex than simple biological analysis. For months, he had been studying humanity's unique approach to dangerous environments and creatures. What made humans different wasn't their physical strength, but something far more intricate, their psychological adaptation. The primary screen showed a comparison between how different galactic species responded to threat. Most would retreat, build barriers, or immediately destroy potential dangers. Humans did something entirely different. They observed, understood, and then transformed potential threats into opportunities. A video played in the background. A human researcher was sitting next to a creature that looked like a walking nightmare. Multiple limbs, razor-sharp edges, eyes that seemed to calculate every possible attack vector. But instead of fear, the human showed something else: curiosity. "It's not about controlling the environment," Sung-Ho muttered to his alien research partner. "It's about understanding it." The alien researcher, a tall being with crystalline skin, watched in fascination. Humans continued to challenge everything they knew about survival and interaction. Another projection showed human children playing near creatures that would have, say, obliterated any other species. But these humans didn't just survive. They seemed to communicate on a level beyond physical interaction. It was almost like they could read the psychological patterns of these dangerous beings. Sung-Ho's research had uncovered something profound. Humans didn't see threats, they saw potential partners. Where other species saw a dangerous predator, humans saw a possible companion, a potential ally. The research center buzzed with excitement. Each new discovery challenged everything the Galactic Confederation understood about intelligent life. Series of brain scans demonstrated the most shocking revelation. Human brains showed unprecedented neural plasticity when encountering unknown or dangerous environments. Where other species would show fear responses, humans showed active engagement, curiosity, and an ability to rapidly adapt. "Look at this," Sung-Ho said, pointing to a complex neural mapping. "Most species have a strict threat response. Humans have something else entirely." The neural map showed multiple pathways of communication, adaptation, and understanding. It wasn't just about survival, it was about transformation. Another screen showed a human marine biologist swimming alongside a massive ocean predator. What looked like a potential death scenario was actually a complex communication dance. The human understood the creature's movements, and the creature seemed to understand the human's intentions. Outside the research center, a group of alien scientists watched the presentation. Their translators worked overtime to capture every nuance of Sung-Ho's explanation. "Humans don't conquer," one of the senior researchers whispered. "They negotiate." The most striking evidence came from planetary exploration reports. Humans had entered environments that would have killed most other species within minutes. But they didn't just survive. They found ways to work with the most hostile conditions imaginable. A video showed humans in a volcanic environment, working alongside creatures that seemed to be made of living lava. Where other species would have seen certain death, humans saw a potential research opportunity. Sung-Ho's final slide was simple but powerful. It showed a human hand reaching out to touch a creature that looked like it could destroy entire cities. But instead of destruction, there was connection. "Psychological adaptation," he explained, "is humanity's greatest survival tool." The research center fell silent. The alien researchers realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humans weren't just another species in the galactic community. They were something entirely new. As the presentation concluded, Sung-Ho looked out the window. In the distance, he could see Thunder, J1's extraordinary companion, walking peacefully, a living example of everything his research demonstrated. The galaxy would never be the same. Min-Seo Choi's laboratory looked like a blend between a high-tech research facility and a bizarre zoo. Creatures from multiple planetary ecosystems moved around carefully designed habitation zones, each demonstrating humanity's extraordinary technological approach to interspecies communication. The Galactic Technology Exchange Conference was about to begin, and humanity's presentation would change everything. On the central platform, holographic displays showed how human technology had transformed the understanding of dangerous creatures. What other civilizations saw as uncontrollable threats, humans saw as potential technological partners. Min-Seo activated the first demonstration. A massive creature that looked like a living tank moved precisely through a complex obstacle course. Sensors embedded in its biological structure communicated with a small device on its collar, showing perfect synchronization between technology and living organism. "We don't control," Mincio explained to the gathered alien scientists. "We communicate." The alien delegates watched in stunned silence. The creature wasn't just following commands, it was participating in a complex technological dialogue. Its movements were calculated, intelligent, precise. Another holographic display showed human bioengineering techniques. Creatures were being modified not to be weapons, but to be partners. Genetic adaptations that improved both the animal's survival capabilities and its ability to work alongside humans. A Krellan researcher leaned forward, his multiple eyes blinking with intense curiosity. The human approach was completely different from anything in galactic technological history. Mincio's next demonstration was even more shocking. A series of creatures from different planetary environments showed how human technology could create communication interfaces. What looked like simple collars were actually complex neural network translators. "We don't just study creatures," she said. "We learn their language." The technological adaptation went beyond simple control. Humans were creating systems that allowed genuine communication between species that would normally never interact. A video played showing a human researcher communicating with a creature that looked like a living crystal formation. Traditional sensors would have seen nothing, but the human technology detected complex communication patterns that went beyond simple biological interaction. The Galactic Technology Committee was speechless. This wasn't just technological innovation. This was a complete reimagining of how intelligent species could interact. More demonstrations followed, creatures that could survive in extreme environments, modified through careful technological intervention, not as weapons, not as tools, but as partners. Each modification showed respect for the creature's natural abilities while enhancing its potential. A massive screen showed planetary exploration scenarios, humans entering environments that would have killed most other species. But instead of protective suits and distant observation, they were working directly with the planetary ecosystem. "Adaptation is not about control," Mincio repeated. "It's about understanding." The human training manual that Hijin had previously introduced, turning monsters into companions, was now being translated into multiple galactic languages. What seemed like a joke just months ago was becoming a serious scientific text. Technological modules demonstrated how humans could create communication interfaces with creatures that had completely different sensory systems. A device that could translate neural patterns from a silicon-based life form into something a carbon-based organism could understand. The final demonstration left the alien delegates completely stunned. A series of creatures from different planetary environments worked together in a complex technological scenario, not as controlled units, but as willing participants in a larger system. Mincio's last statement echoed through the conference hall. "Technology is not about domination, it's about connection." Outside the conference center, Thunder watched silently, a living example of everything being discussed inside. The creature that had first shocked the Galactic Confederation now seemed like a simple demonstration of humanity's extraordinary potential. The galaxy was changing, and humans were leading the transformation. As the presentation concluded, alien researchers knew nothing would ever be the same. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of technological interaction. The final diplomatic summit looked more like a strange zoo than a serious galactic meeting. Alien representatives from hundreds of different species sat nervously, their hands trembling as they attempted to pet carefully selected predators. Jaewon and Hee-jin watched from the sidelines, Thunder sitting calmly beside them. The massive creature seemed more like a patient teacher than a dangerous predator. Years of human research had led to this moment. What began as a shocking first contact had transformed into a complete reimagining of interspecies relationships. The Galactic Confederation was no longer looking at humans as newcomers, but as teachers. A Zorn diplomat, his crystalline skin shifting colors with nervousness, reached out to touch a creature that looked like a walking mountain of muscle and teeth. His hand shook visibly. The creature remained perfectly still, trained in the human method of calm interaction. "Breathe," J1 called out softly. "They can sense your fear." The alien researcher took a deep breath. The predator tilted its head, seemingly understanding the emotional state of the being touching it. Hyojin's research manual had become the most important scientific text in galactic history. Turning monsters into companions was now required reading for every diplomatic and research institution across known space. Another alien representative was trying to replicate a human technique of calm communication. His body language was awkward, but the creature beside him remained patient. It was a living demonstration of humanity's most important discovery: communication over confrontation. Thunder moved slightly, catching the attention of the entire room. Every alien in the conference knew his story, the first creature that had shocked the Galactic Confederation and ultimately changed everything. The diplomatic summit was more than a meeting. It was a celebration of a new way of understanding. Life technological displays showed how human communication techniques had transformed entire planetary ecosystems. Creatures once considered uncontrollable were now working alongside multiple species. The boundaries between threat and partner had completely dissolved. Minseo's technological adaptations were everywhere. Small devices allowed complex communication between species that previously could never have understood each other. What looked like simple collars were actually advanced neural network translators. A young alien researcher approached J1, her multiple eyes blinking with curiosity. "How do you do this?" she asked, watching Thunder sit perfectly calm. "We don't control," J1 explained. "We communicate. We respect." The conference hall was filled with creatures that would have terrified most civilizations just years before. Now they sat, moved and interacted with a calm intelligence that seemed almost impossible. Sung-Ho's psychological research had proven crucial. Humans had shown that understanding was more powerful than fear. Where other species saw threats, humans saw potential partners. The Galactic Confederation's official document was being signed. It wasn't a typical diplomatic agreement. It was a complete reimagining of how intelligent species could interact with their environment. Thunder watched the proceedings, a living testament to humanity's extraordinary journey, from a creature that had first shocked alien researchers to a respected partner in galactic exploration. Hyojin looked at the assembled aliens, each awkwardly but determinedly trying to apply human interaction techniques. What had begun as fear had transformed into mutual understanding. The summit was more than a meeting. It was a celebration of life's complexity. Creatures once considered monsters were now seen as potential companions. Threats had become opportunities. As the final diplomatic documents were signed, the room was filled with a sense of hope. Humanity had done more than join the galactic community. They had transformed it. Thunder stood up, stretched, and walked calmly across the room. Every alien watched, a mixture of fear and respect in their eyes. The creature that had once represented total destruction now represented something else entirely: potential, communication, understanding. The galaxy would never be the same, and it all started with a simple belief that every creature, no matter how dangerous, deserves to be understood.